said it's supposed to go up as like $100. But I was dropping $500 on gas
yeah.
because of my commute. So that was the whole thing, you guys. My car was paid off, and I was like, I don't want a car payment, but if I could swap cars, have the payment cover how much I was paying in gas, then it would almost be an even trade.
Sure.
Instead of having a car payment and as well as having to pay for gas, because I put those miles on my cars so fast. So I had to, you know, these cars are going to be turned over quick. So that was the whole thinking process.
I am intrigued. I'm very intrigued because as a commuter car, getting there and back, I mean, that just sounds amazing. You just charge overnight.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about like running out of battery if you get stuck in traffic, because it basically uses no battery if you're...
When you're stopped.
Yeah, for sure. It can even go into camp mode where it doesn't really use any battery. Enough about me and my car.
Oh.
I want to hear about your trip. Welcome back. Tell us everything.
Thank you. We have an interview to get to in about 2 minutes, so I'm going to make this very quick. But I went on a solo trip to Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. The original intention behind this trip was to do some research for a topic I'm interested in at the Library of Congress. As we all know, government shutdown thwarted that completely, so I was left with a lot of time on my hands, but I reunited with some old journalism school colleagues.
Wow.
There's our nation's capital. I walked by that building right there, which was, you know, not very active. I did walk by the White House as well to check in on the construction there. You couldn't see it, but there were a lot of photographers that were perched up high on a monument, a nearby monument, to try to get their telephoto lens of the construction. I could see a lot of cranes and everything there doing the demo on the East Wing. And then the other significant thing, Caitlin, that my takeaway from Washington, D.C. was walking around at night, just clusters of National Guard troops on corners, just honestly twiddling their thumbs. They didn't have, and they were just on corners, like groups of 4 or 5 of them outside metro stops. And I asked a couple of the people that I met in Washington, D.C., what's, you know, how's it been with the troops around? And consistently, the consistent answer I got was, none of them have ever seen the National Guard troops do anything other than be present there. Never seen them like spring into action or save somebody or do anything law enforcement related. They've just been making their presence felt. So that was also a little surreal. It was surreal to walk around an American city, capital or not, and just see the military presence.
You know what I'm surprised about? You didn't cancel and, you know, rebook for later?
Well, I kind of want to, once the government shutdown ends, it'll give me a good excuse to go back.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was talking to Grady about you going, and I was like, yeah, he was going to go, and his whole trip got messed up.
Yeah.
And I would not have.
You would have just bagged the whole thing. Well, you know, we parents, we need to disengage every once in a while. So it was good. I got to just, you know,
and you had
it was a reminder of what it was like when I lived alone. It was wild. I mean, it was only a 3-day trip, but very fun.
Did you go to restaurants and sit alone?
Yeah, no, I didn't sit alone. Well, yeah, for lunch I did sit alone.
Okay.
But I went out to lunch with a journalism school colleague, and then my friend came in and we went to a really nice dinner.
Nice.
Yes, and he's a childhood best friend, so that was really great.
Good
yeah, he's the guy with the EV.
Yes, he does.
All right, guess what, everybody? Amber Alerts are not only for missing children. Halloween, with Halloween being here, the doors are going to be opened and closed and opened and closed as trick-or-treaters come. So there is actually a system in place to track down any pooches or kitties that go missing. And joining us to talk about it is Kate DeLuca. She's head of marketing at FidoAlert. Kate, happy pre-Halloween week to you. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
We are great. It's sunny in Chicago. Where are you joining us from today?
I am in Charlotte, and it is not sunny. So
it's not sunny in
North
Charlotte.
Carolina. I lived in Charlotte, Huntersville, for 3 years.
Oh, no way. That's not far at all.
Lake Norman. I love Charlotte. What a great spot. All right, so let's get into this. Speaking of doggos, they've got a lot of dog parks out there in Charlotte.
Oh, yeah.
So this FidoAlert, let's first just break it down with, obviously the Amber Alert is a different thing than the FidoAlert. Is this a program that you have to be signed up for? How does it work? How do you get involved? How do you put your dog, do you have to register your pets on it? What's the story?
Yeah. So yeah, you do have to sign your pet up, and the good news is that it's totally free to do and really simple. We just need a little bit of critical information about your pet, like what they look like. We need a photo, their name, just things that'll help us find them if they go missing. So you just sign them up with that little bit of information totally for free, and then they're part of a network of over 1.9 million pets and growing, and their owners that can help if they ever go missing.
How does it work then? So when you sign up and you're one of those 1.9, not only are you signing your pet up, but it's kind of a quid pro quo where you agree to receive an Amber Alert about if anyone else in that 1.9 million goes missing as well?
Yes, totally. So we almost think of it as like neighborhood watch for lost pets. So if you sign up, you have a pet most likely, and you're a pet lover. And so we all want to be able to help our neighbors and, people nearby. If you get a digital lost pet flyer via text whenever someone's pet in your area goes missing and their owner triggers a lost alert.
Okay, so it's in your area. So can you set like the boundary, like I want a 20-mile radius of my home, and that's where I'll get my alerts? Uh-oh, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
We had a little bit of a delay, yes. So can you set your boundary, like if you want alerts just around your house, let's say you want a 15 or 20-mile radius, can you just say, I want the alerts for this location? And then also, if you travel or your dog travels, can you change that depending on where your pets are located or where you are?
Absolutely. And that's one of the best parts, is that wherever you go, FidoAlert goes with you, because it's all about where your pet was last seen. And so how we do it is that it's on average about 1,000 people, usually within the 5 closest miles to that location, because we want the people who are closest and most likely to be able to help to be on alert for your pets.
1.9 million users at this point. Will you tell us, Kate, about the geographic footprint? Is it in all 50 states yet? And I'm also curious, this seems like the kind of thing where the bigger the network, the more effective it's going to be overall.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're all across the U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska and Puerto Rico, so all 50 states and beyond within the U.S. footprint. And so on average, people receive over 500 plus people will receive a text no matter where you are in the U.S. Of course, more densely populated areas could be over 1,000. But yeah, it's everywhere. It travels with you.
I love that. Can you tell us about in your experience, what you've seen from the app and how it's helped people find their pets? Do you find that people are very receptive?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, everyone loves their pets and everyone loves to help. And instead of, the little less effective method of the lost flyer on a light post or something like that, having it come via a text message, people are super receptive to that, right? You don't need to download a new app and just free up the storage on your phone or anything like that. And so it's very just normal with how we communicate. And you text someone, hey, I heard I got an alert that you found my dog. Let's facilitate a reunion. It works really seamlessly.
This is a really cool idea. Can you run us through the need for it in terms of statistics? The number of pets that go missing year to year perhaps, and also the need for this as we approach Halloween.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, it's a huge problem. 1 in every 3 pets will go missing in their lifetime, which equates to millions every year, as you can imagine. And so it's a real problem for a lot of families with pets, just at some point in their pet's lifetime. And a lot of people also don't know that Halloween is the 2nd most common holiday for pets to go missing in the US, just behind the 4th of July.
Ooh.
And it makes total sense, right? There's a lot of loud noises, the doors opening and closing, people in and out. It's a little bit of chaos, a lot of fun, but also chaos, especially for pets. So it's really important, especially around this time, to make sure that your pets are protected.
Okay, so my question is a twofer. I live in Indiana, and we had some pigs on the run over the summer. Pigs, like a handful of baby pigs.
Whoa.
It's actually really sad. But we were on a Facebook group, and it was like a thread. So like people were following where these pigs were going throughout town. Is it kind of like that, where you can get on like a thread about your dog or your cat? And then can you also have wild animals like a pig or, like farm animals on there too? Or is it just, domesticated?
Totally. I mean, we've signed up guinea pigs. I think at one point there was an iguana. Definitely works best for cats and dogs, but we love all animals, so you can sign up any animal that you would like. It's not really a thread though, so we try to keep the notifications to a minimum just so that it's not overwhelming and people are still engaged and wanting to help. So it's really a simplified number of notifications that you just get the alert when a pet goes missing, and then you get in contact with the owner as soon as they're found.
How successful has FidoAlert been so far?
Yeah, sometimes the simplest solutions are the easiest, and that's something really great about FidoAlert. Something that we don't have super awesome data on is how often they're found with our platform, right? Because as soon as that dog or cat is back in your arms, the last thing you're thinking about doing is writing in to let us know or confirming that they're found on their profile. So a lot of times we're left hanging on the exact data of how often pets are found with FidoAlert. And we have so many success stories that we hear. My pet was back in 20 minutes when they slipped out the back door, and I didn't even know that they were missing. I just got a text from a neighbor down the street that I don't even know. And so it's a lot of those like awesome success stories that we're really confident in how seamless and easy it is to use FidoAlert. And we're just glad to be a part of any reunion possible.
Kate, can you tell us about who started FidoAlert? I'm just curious because this is such a great idea.
Yeah, so we're a social mission, and we were started by our founder, John Bradford, who is pet obsessed in the best way. I mean, aren't we all? A little over the top with our love for our pets. And really his core belief was that cost should never stand in the way of reuniting someone with their family member, with their furry friends. And so again, simple solutions are the easiest. And so, and part of his original company stood up FidoAlert with the help of our team and made it a nationwide success in only a few years.
Very, very impressive. Kate, as we approach Halloween, can you speak to perhaps the common mistakes that dog and cat owners make on a day like, I guess it's coming up this Friday, and give us some advice on how to minimize the possibility? You mentioned it's the second worst holiday when it comes to pets go missing. What should we do?
Yeah, there's a few really easy things, and that's the good news, is that it is really simple. The first would probably be to just make sure that your pet has a quiet, safe area away from the front door with all the trick-or-treaters coming in and out. And maybe that's in a separate room, even for the most social and friendly dogs, just that they have their own space that's quiet, maybe with some familiar comfort toys and things like that, so that they're not kind of in all the chaos is what we recommend.
Okay, so my question is, I know you mentioned a couple success stories, but is there one in particular that sticks out in your mind like, whoa, that was great?
Yes. Okay, my favorite one recently, and I'm biased because it was a beagle named Winston, and
cute.
my dog is also named Winston.
Aw.
So this sweet beagle was actually missing for 7 days. He got out when his family left in a rush during an emergency situation and didn't close the door all the way. And then for 7 days, they thought they were never going to see their beloved beagle again until he popped up 4 miles down the road at a campsite, just walked up to another family. And that family was able to scan the tag that we provide. We give away a free pet tag to everyone who signs up, just like this. And they were able to scan the QR code on Winston's tag, enter their ID, and then get in contact with the family right away. And the beauty of that is that, again, it cut through all the noise just as a text message, and then that family who was missing Winston and all of their emergency contacts got this notification, not from a random phone number, but from FidoAlert, that their pet had been found, and to reach out to the family that had him at the campground and facilitate a reunion 7 days later.
So great, so great. One more question before we let you go is that, hey, Caitlin, how many dogs you got? You got 2 dogs. I got a cat.
A cat.
A cat. How do we sign up if we want to get them enrolled?
You visit FidoAlert.com. That's FIDO alert.com, and click Get Started. It's a fast, free registration, and you can claim your free pet tag.
Oh yeah, we didn't ask about costs. What are the costs involved here?
said it was free?
Yeah,
Oh, free.
no cost associated at all to sign your pet up. The network is always free and will always be free. And then also we provide one free black pet tag for each household to get you started and really facilitate you being part of our network.
Like, why not, right? That's genius. Especially the QR code on the tag. Because, you know, a lot of pets aren't
microchipped.
Especially if you get one of these for your hamster or your guinea pig, as you mentioned.
Or your kid. Don't you want to just microchip those kids?
Oh, so bad.
Or underneath the loose skin on the...
Yes.
No, it's not weird. I'm with you. No, it's a little overboard. Kate, thank you so much. That was great. We appreciate you joining us this morning.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Happy Halloween.
Have fun in Charlotte.
Yes, Charlotte, North Carolina. I realize you lived there for a while, Caitlin.
Yeah, 3 years. You didn't know that. I got married there.
That's where it all began.
You don't even know me.
Wow.
Yeah, but about microchipping your kids. I have like those Apple
your kids, I know.
Apple AirTags, you guys, by the way. Speaking of Halloween, this is actually a perfect time to talk about this. You can buy for your kiddos little bracelets that are they're like rubbery material, and you can put an Apple AirTag inside of it.
Yep.
So you don't even have to have anything fancy, but throw that baby on, or maybe on their ankle if they're going trick-or-treating, because they can slip between your...
We ankle monitor.
Trunk or treat, and I lost my kids briefly. Trunk or treat, because there's 100 kids.
They can disappear like that.
They are slippery, those little babies.
Listen, my dad came up with a great idea.
Ooh,
all right. So he takes the next best thing. He takes the grandkids on all kinds of adventures. He's a great grandpa. And so he came up with what he calls adventure shirts. The adventure shirt is a bright neon green shirt.
Love
all the 4 grandkids that go on these events, they have a bright neon green shirt. And so that way, if they're at altitude or one of the trampoline parks or a trunk or treat, he's at least got a fighting chance when they scurry about.
Because it is spooky, and then the kid gets freaked out.
Yeah.
Like, it was Darcy again. Of course it is Darcy every time. Our middle kid, she's like, yay, hi. She like scurried away, and I was like, where's Darcy? And then we could see her, but she was like between a bunch of other people, and you could see she's just looking around.
Oh, no, I know.
You just got to keep track.
Do you ever remember being lost as a kid?
I used to hide from my parents.
Oh, so you were voluntarily
stores.
lost. Yeah.
You know, like in the clothes racks? I know.
Oh, I remember in the middle,
that.
those circular clothes racks. They make good forts.
Yes, and we'd always hide in those, and then my mom would get so stressed to the point where, like, sometimes she'd be at the front of the...
And you hear the intercom?
Yes, Caitlin, or, you know, come to the front of the store. Did you do that too?
No, I don't think I ever went that far. But I do remember hiding in those temporarily.
But your parents were like, yeah, they'll come out.
Yeah. Well, that Amber Alert thing, that's a good idea, because I mean, I literally can't think of a downside.
There isn't.
I mean, could you think of a downside?
They send you a tag?
Yeah, I mean, other than like, maybe you need to manage your notifications if you're getting them from a different region that you're not in or something like that.
Yeah, do it. What a great idea.
Yeah, great idea.
Plus, pets already on there. That's wonderful.
Yep. All right, we are going to take a quick break here, but when we get back, there is an annual dyslexia conference. It is coming up actually a bit later in the week, and it is recognizing local leaders, and they're pushing both awareness and education with regard to this topic that kind of flies under the radar. So we're going to get up to speed on the issue of dyslexia and what's being done about it when we come back after this.
22, welcome back. So Everyone Reading Illinois is hosting its annual dyslexia conference on October 29th through the 30th at NIU Naperville. The event is going to bring together more than 300 educators, families, and experts from across Illinois. So to dig into this conference, why it's important, what we're doing about dyslexia, we are actually going to be joined now by Shira Raviv. I believe I pronounced that right. Schwartz.
Yes.
She is the educational advocate and president-elect of Everyone Reading Illinois. And this is Will. This is Will Lambert. He's a senior at Deerfield High School. So thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Can we first, for those who are listening, maybe they don't know exactly what dyslexia is, could we have a definition of what accounts for dyslexia?
Sure. So we like to talk about what dyslexia is and what dyslexia is not. So dyslexia is a learning disability that affects reading, writing, and spelling. Students or people who have dyslexia have trouble recognizing and reading words quickly. They have trouble matching letters and sounds, and they, of course, if they're struggling with both of those, have trouble with comprehension. We talk about what it is not in terms of it is not a vision problem, and it is not a visual tracking problem, and it is not due to intelligence. And we know that with research, what research shows is that students can be highly successful when they have early intervention, the right instruction, and also with the use of assistive technology, they can be highly successful.
Will, let's bring you into the conversation here. You were a senior in high school. Will you tell us when you first realized that you had dyslexia and how it has affected your life?
My parents knew something was wrong when I was very little. They didn't know what. They didn't know I had dyslexia. But in second grade, I was diagnosed, and I got the help I needed later, around like sixth grade, middle school-ish. Yeah.
What did, can we get specific, like, what, I don't know, a specific word or something that would really give us an insight into what it's like from your point of view when you like in second grade, take me back to, what is it like to read certain things, and were you aware that it was dyslexia at that point?
I wasn't aware, but it was very like isolating. I didn't like understand what was happening. I just knew like I couldn't keep up pace with these other kids. I was trying to read. Everyone was like advancing in school, and I just couldn't keep up. It was really hard.
Shira, I've got a question for you. My daughter's in kindergarten, and we actually just had the state of Indiana test for dyslexia on her. And I'm not aware of what the testing is like. So how do they diagnose dyslexia?
So we tried to push for early literacy mandates in Illinois. Didn't really work that way. But the gold star standard of looking at that is to do a literacy screener, which screens deficits in certain areas. And if those deficits are flagged, then it's best to put a student into early intervention with the hopes that you can intervene early and they don't have to go into special education. But all of those tests, phonological awareness, do they know their letter sounds? Rapid naming is, that's what I was talking about, quickly reading words, recognizing and reading words if they're not able to do that quickly. The test for that is actually looking at colors, so it's not reading words or letters. So those are a couple of things, like if you are unable to rhyme, if you are unable to flip letters, like if I say stop, say it without the t, it would be sop, which is an advanced skill. You have to manipulate the letters and the sounds. When Will was younger, his mom asked him to read something, and he read it just fine, and then she covered the pictures, and he was lost.
Oh,
so that is a really big sign.
Will mentioned that you said second grade is when they figured it out, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that early or is that late?
So it's on the later side.
Okay.
I was a kindergarten teacher for about 20 years, and that's really where students start to learn letters and sounds and match them. So if they struggle with doing that, then it's kind of a red flag. Moving on into first grade, they should be able to read consonant, vowel, consonant words like cat, bat, things like that, and blends. So stop, frog, and then digraphs, which is SH, TH, WH, things like that, like bath.
Right.
Or that, things like that. So that's around first grade. and then it progresses. And then by 3rd grade, really there's not a lot of instruction on how to read. It flips to content.
Right.
So you're reading content, you're not reading to learn to read.
Right. Okay, so Will, when you were diagnosed with dyslexia, what was your progress like afterwards? What did they do with you in school to improve your dyslexia?
I got help from like outside teachers, and I had like small group like learning, but most schools, they don't have like the proper like help for a kid with dyslexia. They will try their best to teach you, but it's still not doing enough, you know? Like I was getting help to read, but I still could not read when I was very little, and it was still very hard. And being pulled out of the classroom doesn't always help. I was missing the learning from a lot of the kids in my class, and then I didn't have that like connection with them while in that class. But I was being taught to read, but that teaching isn't always the best.
Sure. What would you, is there anything that you want to make sure that folks know that maybe is not well understood by people who don't have dyslexia that you want to clarify?
I want to make sure it's well understood that even though a kid has dyslexia, that does not mean they cannot do other things. There's a ton of other things kids with dyslexia can do. I think one of the pros of having dyslexia, not saying it's not super challenging, but one of the pros is now you know what it's like to be a kid that's struggling in school. So when you see other people that are struggling, you kind of have that like bond and connection to try to help them, or like not feel sorry for them, but do everything you can to see them succeed later in life.
I imagine that would be very isolating. Wait, why am I not grasping this? Shira, can we talk about your conference that's coming up on the 29th and 30th? So that's this week?
Yes,
what's going on?
This week, Wednesday, Thursday. So we have Mark Seidenberg, who's a reading researcher, as our keynote on Wednesday. And on Thursday, Sarah Ward, who is an executive functioning guru, is going to talk about executive functioning and dyslexia and how that works with the brain, and executive functioning, information coming in, information going out, and how that affects students' learning, especially with regard to reading and writing. And then we have 23 other presenters throughout different sessions during the day. So we hope to have close to 300 educators coming out, learning, and then taking this back into their classrooms.
Oh, very good. So that they can address the problem that Will ran us through, which is like a lot of times these curriculums are just not, and these schools are not set up for this type of thing. So it's 300 educators that are going to be there.
And there is a gold standard to what reading intervention looks like. We do need to improve teacher training all over, and that's what we aim to do with high professional development and quality support for teachers. Our organization also supports parents whose families are affected with dyslexia, and just general spreading of awareness of dyslexia and what it is, and what parents can do about it.
Speaking of what parents can do about it, I'm just curious, because Will, you're a senior. Maybe there's parents watching who have a 2nd grader or a 1st grader who is dyslexic. Can you speak to those parents and how they should support their child?
I think the best way to support is just make sure that whatever teacher is teaching them to try to get over their dyslexia, just make sure that that teacher knows what they're doing, because most teachers, they're just teaching whatever. They don't have a certain dyslexia program set in place. And if that teacher is not teaching a certain dyslexia program, then that kid isn't going to learn as fast as the other kids, and then they're not going to be able to catch up later. And it's just going to be way harder once they get to high school, or once they get out of high school in their future.
So how are things for you right now, Will? You're a senior in high school. Do you find yourself, you know, when it comes to, you know, a lot of kids read books, but audiobooks are huge now. I feel like I listen to most books now, to be honest, because it's easier in the car and everything. How's your reading now, and do you tend to gravitate toward things like audiobooks?
I definitely used audiobooks way more when I couldn't read. I still do now, but like over my schooling, I've had to do a ton of reading, and before it was very challenging. Now I actually like it. Now that I've gotten to the point where I can read proficiently and I can be in class, no one notices I have dyslexia. I'm just like a normal kid. Yeah, now reading's fun, and the tools like audiobooks, stuff like that, help me set up that like future of being able to read proficiently in class or books or having a fun time with it.
When did you feel, what grade were you in when you feel like, okay, you know what, I've been through this journey, but now I feel pretty caught up to my classmates? How long did it take?
I think freshman year was really like the switch, yeah. Yeah.
So Shira, talking about schools and incorporating the special programming, maybe there's a parent who's watching who has a kid who's in a school that doesn't offer the specialty, assistance with their child who is dyslexic. Are there different facilities that you can recommend in Illinois or maybe nationwide outside of school, like after hours, that kids could go to?
You can, and I think that's actually the problem with dyslexia in general, is that parents who can afford to get outside tutoring, they go and get it. Parents who can't afford it, it's much more challenging. So as an advocate, what I like to do is help schools, create systematic change by giving them a little bit of information about what structured literacy looks like, which is the way that instruction for dyslexia can work best. So it works from smallest sounds, learning smallest sounds, to learning more difficult sounds. So A, the sound A, is written in many different ways. So like train is different from sleigh, but it's both A. So you wouldn't start with learning sleigh, that form of the A sound. You would start with AI or AY and then build up. And there is a scope and sequence to how that works. Most teachers, most parents aren't aware of it, and it really is a specialized kind of instruction that can support that learning systematically. Master that, add another one, master that, add another one. And that's what Will participated in from the time he was pretty young up until now. So his reading is proficient. And we do find people who have mastery of those skills, but then the cognitive load of I have to read and I have to understand, that's the next level. So all of this is very complicated, and if a parent is wondering, call everyone Reading Illinois. We'll kind of walk you through it, or come to the conference. Yeah.
Before we let you guys go, are there any statistics about how many kids have it?
So it's typically thought that 1 in 5 students has dyslexia.
Wow.
And it is also thought that of students who are in the special education system in Illinois, 80% of them have a language-based learning disability like dyslexia.
Really?
So great that you guys are...
So the majority of people who have an IEP, many times it's for dyslexia.
Wow. Who knew? I didn't realize.
I'm glad you guys are really working to address this problem, bring it into the light. And Will, thank you for coming in and sharing your own story, man.
What's next?
Really appreciate it.
What's coming
Yeah,
up
you applying to schools, that kind of thing? He's up.
Oh yeah, I just applied to a bunch of schools, so going to college. Yeah.
Okay, good luck to you. Are you participating in the conference at all this week, or is it just for teachers? I didn't know if you're planning on making a cameo.
He's got to go to school.
He's got to go. Oh, okay. Well, do we at least get you out of little school today?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Okay. So it's not a total washout. We got you out of school.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks for coming, guys.
And Shira, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story. We really appreciate it. We're going to take a quick break, but as we've been talking about, she's from Highland Park. We're going to talk to some more folks in Highland Park after the break. They are celebrating Dia de los Muertos in pretty cool fashion. So we're going to talk to some representatives from the great town of Highland Park when we come back.
Nothing.
Welcome back. So I'm going to hopefully pronounce this correctly. Anthony, you can fix it if I don't.
I will.
Downtown Highland Park is hosting its second annual Dia de los Muertos.
Perfect.
All right, now through November 2nd. So what's going on in Highland Park? 20 downtown businesses are offering incredible hands-on experiences to honor the holiday, to experience the holiday. And joining us is organizer Diana Gran to tell us all about this event. And it looks like you're in front of a beautiful display right now. Good morning to you, Diana.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about first, because I see beautiful colors behind you. Is this one of the businesses that are participating in your event?
No, well, this is actually the main community of Frenda. We have this installation that is very meaningful, and then from this, we tie the businesses back to the downtown area. So the idea is to have this to become the central focus of the festivities, and then with a pass, we're trying to coordinate and we're trying to connect the participating businesses in the ofrenda.
Very
just to
cool.
give a little example, to connect the businesses, we also have another installation in here that this is what tells you what are the participating businesses are.
So that's kind of your hub. That's the starting point. All right, Diana, you mentioned the word ofrenda, all right? And a lot of us have seen the movie Coco before, but it might have been a while. Run us through exactly what Dia de los Muertos celebrates and the role that the ofrenda plays.
Okay, well, Dia de los Muertos is a celebration of life, and we honor our ancestors and the people that have passed. And through this is called an altar, and within it, there is an ofrenda. Ofrenda is an offering. Things that our loved ones love, their pictures, elements that they love, that they use, their favorite food, their favorite items. So that's what we do with an ofrenda. It just means an offering.
An offering, okay. So let's talk about what people can find at these 20 or so downtown businesses. What are they offering to celebrate?
So as you walk here through the ofrenda, you will see several different elements that are relevant. And you come over here and there's an explanation of what the ofrenda is and the different elements. The different elements is what ties back to the businesses. For example, photos. Photos are very important to have in an ofrenda, and then you can go ahead, you can go to a downtown business to take your own portrait. Another important thing is copal, which is the incense that we have. We have a store downtown that sells incense, so she will do an incense ritual at her store. We try to curate the experiences to be very meaningful and actually tie back to tradition. So I'm very excited with the partnerships that we created with our downtown businesses. They are offering food. They are offering, for example, today we have a hands-on Day of the Dead bread demonstration at one of our businesses. She will be walking us through the tradition of making this very special bread. And again, you go ahead and you learn how to make it and you learn what it means.
That sounds like so much fun. I wonder if you could give a little advice, Diana, while you're here. I remember after I saw the movie Coco, I was like, we got to make a little ofrenda in our house. Is there any like basic advice you would give to folks who might want to celebrate at home?
I'm glad you said that, because that's one of our displays over here. We're teaching you, because part of this experience is not only to have our businesses activate, but really share this tradition. And that's a very important question that you asked me, because many people ask me, how can I make one at home? And we are providing here the elements that you're collecting through the downtown area are the elements that you put on your ofrenda. As I said before, the flowers, the food, the bread, water, light. Those are simple things that we have in our home that we can set up a little ofrenda for our loved ones that have passed. And your loved ones that have passed could be your pets. It could be, family members that you love and want to remember. So the main beauty of this tradition is that we bring back of loved ones that have passed through the experiences that we share, through their stories. I actually had a Girl Scout troop the other day on Saturday. They came over and visited the ofrenda. And one of the little girls asked me, do we really bring them back? And another girl said, yes, we do, by sharing their stories, by connecting with them again. So that's really the meaning around this beautiful celebration, that we're able to connect and share our stories, or share stories of humanity.
Diana, I'm just thinking about exactly why. Parents, okay, if you want to take your kiddos and hit all of these different spots, you mentioned how each of these spots has different events. For example, the incense, at a certain time, they're going to be doing the incense. At a certain time, they're going to be baking the bread. At a certain time, maybe they're going to be teaching you how to make your own display. So how can we line this up time-wise? Is it going to be kind of on a loop, like a repeat? Do you guys have a schedule that's posted somewhere?
Yes, we have a schedule in our website. Actually, we made it very easy. Think of it as a scavenger hunt. You buy this pass, and every day there is something fun to do. And that was very important for us, the organizers, to do. There are so many amazing events happening during this weekend, which is the actual day of the dead weekend, that we didn't want to make it just a weekend. We wanted to make it a week-long celebration, and that's why we call it DDM Week, Day of the Dead Week, because we know that I have 4 children myself, so I'm always busy. So I wanted to have a schedule of activities, and that's how we are inviting the community to have almost like a scavenger hunt and say, yes, on Monday I can go to make some bread. Yesterday we have a movie, Day of the Dead related movie at the movie theater, so kids were able to go to the movies. And then they also were able to paint some sugar skulls ornaments in another downtown businesses. So again, we wanted to make it interactive. We wanted to provide people, families and kids and adults with the ability to go and enjoy these different activities every day. So yes, there's a full calendar of events that people can check out.
So fun. I think it's going to be a great week, and I know Caitlin gave a great forecast for you guys too.
Oh yeah.
Right? It's 55, pretty sunny all week.
Dry weather Friday. Got a little bit of rain in the forecast over the next couple of days, but dry hours to get these.
Diana Gran, thank you. Feliz Dia de los Muertos a usted.
Gracias, and thank you for having me. I hope you can join us.
Yes, absolutely. We're right up that way.
So fun.
Thank you.
I love this. That's
you got to revisit,
beautiful.
you saw Coco, right?
Yeah,
the movie Coco.
a long time ago.
Yeah, you should revisit that when your kids get a little bit, it's so good.
Yeah.
And it does such a good job of explaining how and why Dia de los Muertos is important.
It's not scary
in that culture. No,
it's
not at all. Not at all.
I was going to ask her this, but maybe you know. What's the significance behind the bright colors, like the pinks, the purples,
I don't
the reds,
know.
the oranges?
I don't know. Maybe
it's
just
so
to make it. Yeah, it's beautiful. Maybe it's just like a counter effect to some of the dark demon, that clusters around Halloween. Because you're right, and even in the movie Coco, the colors are so vivid and bright and festive. And it's probably to make it known that this is a positive, happy celebration, and it provides structure around remembering our loved ones. It's just like a little structure around it.
It's
kind of nice.
Topic.
Right.
We went to last week. We went to a funeral for a family member, and I didn't know this. Maybe we should have someone on to talk about this. How to talk about death with your kids, because I have a 6-year-old, I've got a 3-year-old, and of course a 1-year-old. But when you go into a funeral, I was like, I just want the kids to stay in the back.
Yeah.
I don't really want them to walk up and see anything. Yeah, because of the questions. But this might be a beautiful way to talk about it.
Well, there are, I have family members who have told stories about how when there's a death in the family, it's like hush hush, never talked about after the funeral. It's just like, okay, zip that, put it in the corner. One of the things that I think is healthy about Dia de los Muertos is it gives, again, like I mentioned, kind of a structure, but like, those ofrendas, you put on a picture of them or something that they loved during their life, and it gives you a way to talk about your deceased loved ones in a positive way and not sweep things under the rug, if that makes sense.
Celebration of life instead of a sad feeling.
Yeah, so that's really cool. Up in Highland Park, it's going on all week, and I understand the last event is called Tarde de Catrinas, Afternoon of Katrinas. So that's, I guess they have like a closing celebration. So that should be super cool. Again, it's happening all week in Highland Park. All right, we have an overdue guest. He was supposed to join us last week. He has authored a new book, the very latest when it comes to national cybersecurity. It's called Spies, Lies, and Cybercrime. He's launching this book because this month is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. We are going to be speaking with author and former FBI counterintelligence operative Eric O'Neill when we come back. back. Eric O'Neill is a former FBI counterintelligence operative, famously helped capture Robert Hanssen, who is described as the most damaging spy in U.S. history. And now he is turning his decades of insider expertise into a book that is about to launch. It's called Spies, Lies, and Cybercrime. And Mr. O'Neill joins us live via Zoom to talk about this piece of journalism here. Eric, thank you so much for being on the program. We appreciate it.
It's great to be here and talk about spies, lies, and cybercrime.
So you have funneled like decades of experience into this novel. What are going to be the big takeaways? I know we are in Cyber Security Awareness Month right now.
That's right. We're in Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and we're also at the beginning of the biggest scam season for cyber criminals throughout the year. This is the quarter where they make most of their money in their dark web cybercrime. And in writing this book, what I wanted to do is give my readers an insider look at how the FBI taught me counterintelligence and how they can use that to protect themselves from all sorts of scams, cyber attacks, and fraud, and do it in a way that reads like a spy thriller. So all of the true crime stories that you'll see in the book will teach you how to think like a spy and recognize these insane and deceptive cybercrime attacks, but also learn to act like a spy hunter and defeat them before they steal your data and all of our trust.
Okay, so Eric, I want to know the juiciest story that you've ever heard of a cybercrime. And before we get into the details of how we can protect ourselves, what sticks out in your mind?
Certainly. Well, there's a cybercrime that's going around right now that is an intersection of some of the top technology to destroy our trust. And it's using AI and a lot of deception and that personal feeling of emotion and urgency. So you get a call from a loved one. It could be your daughter, it could be your sister, it could be your brother, it could be someone you care about. And they say in their voice on the call, I made a mistake, I'm in trouble, I hit another car, I'm in jail, I think the person I hit was pregnant, and I think I'm in a lot of trouble. I'm going to hand the phone over to an attorney and they're going to talk to you. And then you get another voice. So your emotion is also up. Then you get a call from that, you talk to the attorney who says, you have to pay money or she's going to be stuck in jail and you got to pay bail. And you have to do it right now. And that was her only call. And people are paying thousands of dollars. This attack doesn't even use a line of code. It's just a phone call to you because they've done a little reconnaissance on social media to learn about you. And people are losing thousands. And that's just one of the many, many ways that families and individuals are getting attacked today.
Oh my gosh, that is so frightening because you hear the voice. It's an AI-generated voice. Maybe they get
AI-generated, yes. And they can just use a tiny clip. Just those words you just said are all I need to clone your voice into a incredibly deceptive deepfake.
They could make Caitlin Cody, you know, robot talk. That is wild. All right, Eric, what are some simple everyday habits? You mentioned this is the season for this thing. How do we prepare our mindset going into the holiday season where scammers are out to get you?
Certainly. So Halloween's right around the corner, and they begin with Halloween with these fake ads through social media that make you want to click. You're 70% off, the best family costume you've ever seen, but it's not real. And all the way through New Year's. And then they hit you on Valentine's Day too. So this doesn't really end. Here are some things you can do. Number one, don't give into pressure. So what cyber criminals want to do is create 3 aspects of psychology to deceive you. They use urgency. They don't want you to stop and think. They use emotion, like do this or something will go wrong, or benefit. Do this and you'll make a fortune. And what you have to do is not give in to that urgency to do something you know you shouldn't do. Now, a few things that you can do, especially with holiday scams, is stop and think when something looks too good to be true. It's probably too good to be true. Use credit cards. Don't use debit cards to buy anything online. You don't get that fraud protection. Never click links. When you see something that looks like something you want to buy, or they're telling you, you know, you owe this money, don't click the link. Go directly to the retailer site and look for it there. And as we go into the holiday season, here's a big one. Beware fake charities and GoFundMe campaigns. You know, the criminals want to pull on our heartstrings, so they will create these incredibly manufactured AI-based, so really good graphics, grammar, pull on your heartstrings to say, give to this charity. And you want to make sure that charity is real before you send your money.
Eric, I've got a question. This is a selfish question because my grandma has been she almost fell for a scam with her health insurance.
Yes.
And so my mom and her siblings are really struggling with supporting her, but also teaching her about how people can scam her over the phone. Do you have any wise words of advice for family members, especially who have elderly within their family? We need to teach them how to protect themselves.
Certainly. So here's the real short advice, right? And then get my book, because it is engineered for you to read with your family members, especially your kids. There's 2 chapters for teenagers on exploitation, but also your elderly family members, and have them read the book as well. What you can do is work with them and talk to them about tactics and tips. Like, for example, make sure they know that you will never call and ask for money. And if you do, you'll use a code word. Code words with families are now really important to get past these AI deepfakes. Make sure they're using 2-factor authentication everywhere. And this goes for everyone in your family. Use that second level, right? Before they are going to spend, before they're going to go out there on the internet and do something that just looks too good to be true, and tell them to pause and give you a call just to check, just to make sure, because that can be the difference between losing a lot of money and you can be defrauded out of your life savings. I tell the story in the book about a gentleman who was defrauded out of his entire pension by a scam, or just lose a lot of your trust just with one little scam.
She mentioned senior citizens. That was an amazing response, putting us on alert. How about for those of us that are parents? We got kids on all kinds of gaming platforms and social media. You got a couple chapters in there geared toward teens. How about young kids? What do we need to look out for?
Even young kids. I say, with our family, we didn't do phone until 14. I've got a 12-year-old who's chomping at the bit, and we limited social media throughout, until they were old enough to really understand it. That can be difficult. Kids are online more than ever before. But the tip here as a parent is you have to be involved. You can't just hand them this device that has all of the information in human history, and the easiest way for cyber criminals to access your children and not monitor. You have to know what they're doing online. You have to talk to them. And the most critical thing to prevent cyberbullying, online exploitation, and attacks, because remember, your kids have pristine credit. The criminals want to steal their identities, is to tell them that no matter what happens, no judgment, you can come to me, we'll talk about it, and there's a solution, we'll solve it.
That's good advice. That's good advice. Eric O'Neill, thank you so much, putting us on alert. We appreciate it. Again, his book is Spies, Lies, and Cybercrime. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. It's great to be on with you.
You too. All right. And we will be back with another hour of Chicago Now with Tia and Gabriella when we come back.
Fox 30.
Welcome to Chicago Now. It is 11 o'clock on your Monday morning. I'm feeling good about this Monday. What about you?
It's Monday. We're already making plans for this coming weekend.
Yes.
I told Tia, hey, this weekend Skyrise Chicago, where you climb up more than 100 flights of the Willis Tower, make it to the top. It's for the Shirley Ryan Ability Lab. Tia, I'm telling you, it's great. I mean, it's for a great cause.
Sit up for
also,
this.
it's great exercise. Sure, you're going to die, but they feel good doing it.
And we do want to point out the fact that they do have first responders there.
They do,
in case you do feel yourself being lethargic.
I think it's every 5 flights during the first half, where you can sit, drink some water, chill out, and then once you get higher up, maybe there's less. But I'm
gonna try it
until you get there.
I'm gonna see if I can get my husband to sign up to do this with me. I think, you know, if I make it, you said how many flights is it total?
103, I think total is.
If I make it
technically
50, that's good.
You know what?
It doesn't matter how
take
long.
a break. There's people of all shapes and sizes, all ages, and a lot of the patients are
doing
at
it
some
too.
point participating and doing it too. So it is
how long?
really cool.
How many hours are they out?
They say, I think, an average, like your average healthy person, it will take like 35 to 45 minutes. I think is what they
It'll
said.
be over by the time I'm done. But
no, I will be dragging you up there. Don't worry.
How was your weekend?
It was really good. How about you?
It was good. I watched you this morning. This was your debut on Good Day Chicago. You did a really good job. Give a round of applause to our studio audience for Gabby. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought you looked good, you sound good, all of those things. My weekend was interesting. My daughter wanted this costume. She's been asking me about a Halloween costume for weeks. And I thought for sure it didn't exist because I didn't do any research when she told me. I just said, I've never seen that before. I don't think it exists. Well, turns out that the 3-year-old knows more than mom, and it did exist. And so I tried to find this costume. Apparently, this is the most coveted costume of this season. It is the ballerina version of Gabby's Dollhouse. Gabby's Dollhouse is aired on Netflix.
You told me about
I told you my daughter has an obsession, and she kept saying, I want to be Gabby Ballerina. I'm like, well, just put on your ballerina costume, and you'll
call it a day.
She was right. So I had to drive about an hour and some change away to go pick up this costume.
You know what? So, you are super mom.
Parenting. I ain't gonna say that.
Cute. You know what? It's gonna be worth it once you see that big smile, that little ballerina.
You know what I learned this morning?
What?
My daughter has a crush. At 3 years old, my daughter has a crush, and I don't know what to do about it, Gabby.
Have you told early?
Yes, by way of a video. So what happened was I had a meeting at my daughter's school, and I was like, well, the meeting's over. I have a little extra time before I go to work. Let me go see what she's doing. She's sitting there cuddled up on like a love seat of sorts for kids with this little boy that she told me that was her best friend. And so I thought, oh, okay. And she's in his face doing this and touching him. And I'm like, this looks like a crush. I don't know how to handle it.
So you have video evidence of it?
I have video proof.
So
and she looked at me like, oh, my mom is looking at me. So that's when I knew
embarrassed.
that it was indeed a crush.
Yeah.
What do you do
Mom
with that?
knows. Mom knows.
What would you do?
Well, you're going to make sure you keep that, first of all, and play it
for
when she's a lot older and say, I have video evidence of your first crush. She tried to be sneaky with it, huh?
Trying to be sneaky, little Corbin. I busted him. Okay, let's talk about what we got coming up. What does your Halloween costume say about your relationship? I think that's an interesting one because there's a lot of costumes out here that are risque, and if you're wearing it and you're not with your man,
or maybe your partner's not willing to dress up, and that kind of says something about your partner. I don't know.
And this is really cool too. A Humboldt Park bakery is celebrating 10 years, and they actually are celebrating because of their podcast, which I think is incredible. And we got to talk about this. I don't know about you, but I love talking about things and in the sky, NASA, stars, all of those things. NASA-backed International Asteroid Warning Network launched an emergency defense probe after the interstellar comet, also known as 3I Atlas, exhibited unusual behavior. And we're talking to the man who thinks there's way more to this comet than actually meets the eye. This is incredible to me.
Have you been following this online?
I have been following, and it looks like all of the world is following too.
Yeah, well, and I'm one of those new people who are following. So if we ask you some silly questions, thank you, Avi Loeb, for joining us, Harvard astrophysicist. You're the person we've gone to a couple times for this topic, plus other interstellar things. But let's talk about the new things with 3I Atlas. That's the correct way to pronounce it, correct?
Yes, it is. The name is simply that it refers to the third interstellar object from outside the solar system that is visiting us. Only the third in history, because just over the past decade we had the survey telescopes to find such things. And Atlas is a telescope 0.5 meter in diameter in Chile that discovered it on July 1st, 2025. And we can talk about why it's very fitting for us to discuss it as we approach Halloween.
You know, Avi, first of all, we love talking to you because you always have great insight. So thank you so much for doing this.
And you make it easy to understand, which is nice.
And we talked to you, I think it was earlier this month, about this same topic, but there's some new information now in terms of photos that have been released. What have we learned so far because of these new photos?
Well, the sharpest photo we had was from the Hubble Space Telescope, and it showed a glow in front of the object towards the sun, rather than what we see usually around comets, where you see an extension of a cometary tail that goes away from the sun because dust and gas are being pushed by the solar radiation and wind. In this case, it was looking different. And the object is also inferred to be very large, comparable to Manhattan Island. And, you know, that was very surprising because it's at least 1,000 times more massive than the previous two interstellar objects. So the question was, you know, is it something other than a natural object? It followed the trajectory that was aligned with the planets around the sun, so perhaps it's on some reconnaissance mission. And most recently we noticed over the month of September that the glow is changing direction. It's now in both directions, towards the sun and away from the sun. We obtained a very high resolution image from the high-rise camera on board the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. That's a mission that NASA launched a while ago, and that camera should give us an even crispier image than the one from the Hubble telescope by a factor of 3. So we are waiting for that. The problem is the image was taken on October 2nd, and that's a day after the government shut down, and the claim is that because of the shutdown, NASA is unable to release the data, even though it's almost a month now that we are waiting for that. That will give us also a side view of the object. And now, actually, this week, the object is approaching closest distance from the sun. That's on October 29th. And the problem is we can't observe it from Earth because it's on the opposite side of the sun. So when you look at the sun during the daytime, right now, the 3i Atlas is flying behind it, perhaps for a reason. You know, if it's a technological object, that's the best time for it to do a maneuver when it's closest to the sun, to take advantage of the sun's gravity. That's what we do with our own spacecraft. And so the question is, will it appear on a different path after passing close to the sun? And of course, if that happens, you know, the stock market may crash, because it would mean that, you know, we have some risk involved. However, if it continues along its original path, you know, it could still be that it releases some probes that go to the various planets and maneuver. So we should keep our eyes on this ball of light to figure out whether it's natural or technological. Often, you know, in science, we don't face a situation where what we discover has implications to our daily life. And this is a very unusual case where, you know, even if the risk is small, if you say it's most likely a rock, you know, it could have huge consequences if it's not a rock. So therefore, we have to discuss that as a possible, you know, a black swan event that we haven't anticipated.
What does that mean, like a black swan event? Also, I mean, there's so many things that you just mentioned that I guess I have questions about. One, the stock market, because I think the average viewer maybe isn't as well versed in this topic. How would it affect the stock market, something in outer space?
Right, so we all know about the dinosaurs that were killed by a giant rock the size of Manhattan Island 66 million years ago. You know, that was unexpected. The dinosaurs felt very proud of themselves dominating Earth, but they didn't look up, and this rock killed them. Now, that's a risk for humanity as well, and we think that we can prevent such a damage by monitoring rocks that may come close to Earth. but that assumes that these are rocks, that we can forecast how they will behave. Just imagine alien technology, some spacecraft that can maneuver in ways that we cannot anticipate. It's much more complicated. And of course, if we ever encounter that, you know, it's a blind date of interstellar proportions. You don't know who is on the other side. Of course, you're hoping that it's a friendly visitor, but it could be a serial killer. So, you know, there will be a sense of urgency and uncertainty, just like you see a visitor to your backyard, and the concern is the visitor will show up in your front door, you know, so you have to worry about what to do in a short time. And, you know, that would involve, of course, policymakers and politicians. But as a scientist, the first thing that I can alert to is to at least consider the possibility that we might see a visitor from interstellar space that could be potentially, you know, associated with alien technology, that so that we monitor those things and collect as much evidence, you know, because in a blind date, my advice to anyone that goes on a blind date is first observe the other side as much as you can before you have an opinion, before you say anything. And that's what we should do in this case.
You know, Avi, you mentioned the fact of the government shutdown. It almost seems like in some ways this could be the perfect storm, right? If it is potentially a spaceship out there or an alien mothership or something like that, we don't officially know. So my question to you is, what do you think it actually is? And if it is potentially, you know, something dealing with aliens, what should we be preparing for? You mentioned the stock market. Is there anything we can do to kind of brace ourselves for this? Because that could potentially be terrifying or even catastrophic.
I'm scared.
Yeah,
for
well,
sure.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, in the context of intelligence agencies, you know, they are always prepared for low probability events with huge implications, because when you don't prepare for that, you are surprised, and that could be quite dangerous. However, we were never prepared for this kind of a scenario. We always thought about rocks coming from the sky. These are meteors. And I completely agree with you that we should change the way we address, because right now we are entering a new era. There is the Rubin Observatory in Chile that will find interstellar visitors every few months. And so we should be ready for such a situation. And the question is, what kind of plan should we make in case we notice some alien technology? I sent a white paper submitted to the United Nations, the International Astronomical Union, bringing up this point that we should be better prepared. But I do think, you know, realistically speaking, that the politicians will take it seriously after the first encounter. And then, you know, we will have to establish an alert system that includes probes in the outer solar system that alert us to any incoming technological object. And then we have to decide how to deal with it. Should we intercept them? And my view on that is that it really depends on the details of what these visitors are. You know, we have to figure them out, to learn as much as possible about them, and, you know, come close to any of them and take some close-up photographs to infer what they are about. And but it may well be that, you know, if they are representing technologies far more advanced than ours, that we won't be able to do much, and then it will introduce a lot of uncertainty about the implications. And you know, it's something we haven't discussed in the past, but now I think we should.
October 29th is the date you said, right? So we all need to be bracing for everything. Maybe Halloween won't go the way we thought. Okay, I want to ask you about this because you did write that interesting article, that piece that you were saying that you put out. I think that was last week. And you mentioned there that, you know, this is not kind of like the first time. So do you think interstellar beings have visited Earth in the past? And if the answer is yes, when and what were the results? Did they just come through space and then go back to where they came from? Do we know?
Well, that's an excellent question. You know, recorded human history is only 8,000 years old. And that's 1 part in a million of the age of the Milky Way galaxy. So we just don't know what happened before we humans started recording their history. I discussed it on Friday with Joe Rogan in an episode that should come out soon, perhaps tomorrow, or I mean, definitely this week. I'm completely open-minded about that. It's possible that we just don't know how much traffic we had of such visits and what the implications were in the past, and whether they put any monitors in our baby room. You know, our civilization is so young, they might think of us as a baby that needs some monitors in the baby room, and then if they see anything worrisome, they might actually show up in a way that we don't anticipate. So it's possible that, you know, in fact, just today I'm finishing a paper about an object that was defined as a quasi-moon, a mini-moon that was added perhaps to the actual moon that we have. It was discovered just a couple of months ago near Earth. And this is an interesting question as to whether such an object, suddenly we see a mini-moon that is around us. Is that a monitor, you know, installed by some interstellar visitor? We have to keep our eyes on the sky and figure things out based on data, based on evidence, rather than, you know, speculations. And I'm just suggesting that we keep this in mind, because the worst thing you can do is ignore any potential risk from alien technology.
You know, I did see, Avi, some articles posted, and it didn't seem like it was the best sources, so maybe I didn't really believe it with that second moon, quote unquote. I have a two-part question for you. One, talking about some of the, you know, quote unquote evidence, I guess we're seeing that 3I Atlas could be a mothership and rather than just an object, because I saw reports that a tail was changing directions on it. And then another part is what we have on the bottom of our screen there, you know, that it's Manhattan-sized comet. How much damage could that do?
Oh, so the size is, first of all, quite surprising, because as I said, it's at least 1,000 times more massive than the previous two visitors, and you just don't expect something as huge as that to come before you see, let's say, 1,000 more smaller objects. And also the trajectory was aligned with the planets, which is very surprising, because the chance of that happening at random is 1 in 500. So in that sense, that raised my alert to the object, and so. You know, we just need to get more data about it. There is also nickel shed by this object, much more than iron, and that is a signature of technological manufacturing of nickel alloys. So the object is strange, but it could be that all of these quite rare properties are by chance. You know, like we need to figure them out, understand where they're coming from. And especially keep our eyes on it for the next few months, just to make sure that it doesn't maneuver and doesn't release any mini probes that could affect the Earth and in an unexpected way. And so altogether, you know, I ranked it 4 on a scale where 10 is definitely technological and 0 is definitely natural. This is now called the Loeb scale, and you know, I say that it is sufficiently unusual for us to keep an eye on it, but it may not be it may not raise any reason for concern as of now, until we notice something that definitely makes it technological. For example, we can see that it maneuvers in ways that rocks do not. We can see some artificial lights coming from it, or we can detect a radio signal from it. You know, there are all kinds of ways by which you realize something is technological. We haven't seen that yet, but we need to look at it. And it will be closest to Earth, actually, on December 19th, which is just the week before Christmas. I hope it will not ruin any holiday events. So that's when we should get as much data about it from Earth. And then on March 16th, 2026, it will come closest to Jupiter. It came very close to Mars. By very close, I mean relative to the size of the solar system, and very close to, it will come very close to Jupiter. And these are features that we also didn't expect, because if it were to arrive at a random time, you know, it wouldn't come so close to these planets. They move around the sun over periods of years, and why would it be at the right time, at the right place to be so close to them? And that was perhaps another signature of planning or fine-tuning of its arrival.
Avi, you mentioned the light, you mentioned how it moves. I'm not you. You're an expert in all of this. I blame everything on the Chinese spy balloons. But in all seriousness, though, when we talk about capabilities to even build something like this, who would be behind an interstellar spaceship? Who has the technology, if we're thinking not alien, to even build or create something of this magnitude in the first place? I see you're shaking your head. So I don't know if you have an answer to that, but that was the first place my mind went.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I should say that Arthur C. Clarke, you know, he has this science fiction novel, A Rendezvous with Rama, where he imagined a situation where a cylindrical spacecraft arrives in the inner solar system, and the astronomers notice it, and it has a size of tens of kilometers, what we are talking about. So he already imagined such an arrival. Now, to your question, yes, it requires a huge amount of energy, well beyond what we can construct. You know, even Starship, the biggest rocket that we built, is smaller than 100 meters. And this one, I'm talking about an object that is at least 50 times bigger than that. So we definitely don't have the ability to imagine how you build such a thing, how you launch it. But keep in mind that the sun is relatively young. The sun is a young star. It formed only in the last 1/3 of cosmic history. So most of the stars formed billions of years before the sun. And just imagine a civilization like ours that existed a few billion years before us. You know, that civilization had enough time to develop technologies that go well beyond what we currently possess. It had the benefit of time. And you may ask, okay, how long does it take for them to arrive at our backyard? That, again, is less than 1 billion years. So even with the Voyager spacecraft, the technology that we already used, Voyager will be on the opposite side of the Milky Way galaxy in 1 billion years. So it's not you know, impossible to imagine that they would reach us as long as they develop the ability to launch such a huge thing. And then, you know, the final point I'll make is that there are lots of risks on Earth. You know, it's not clear how long humanity would survive. And the one thing we should contemplate is, you know, building a habitat in space that we can go to from Earth just to save humanity if there is a huge catastrophe looming over the horizon. You know, we haven't contemplated that, we haven't thought about it, but if we invest a significant fraction of the military budgets worldwide towards going to space, we're talking about $1 trillion a year or so. You know, that's the level of funding. If we put $1 trillion a year instead of to fighting each other on Earth, but to explore space, we can in principle build a space platform that would accommodate people comfortably within a century from now. I don't see a major issue. It's just a question of resources, putting all the architects, you know, the best scientists possible, and putting money into it such that we can accommodate people in space for long periods of time. And, you know, I'm talking about a century. That's a very short time. If you had 1 billion years to spare, you know, then clearly you can imagine a future where humans will be in space as long as they see it as a priority for long periods of time. And if we can think about that, it means that others may have done that already. I don't see any fundamental reason that prevents it. It's just a question of putting our attention to exploring space rather than to killing each other or protecting ourselves against each other, which is pretty much what we are doing at a budget of $2.4 trillion a year, you know, worldwide. So it's just a question of priorities. And the point is that this will be potentially a wake-up call. If we notice that someone else did it, suddenly we would realize there is a smarter kid on our block, and that kid is more advanced than we are, you know, and it may inspire us to change priorities and work together, because we are all in the same boat. You know, all humans on Earth are in the same boat. Makes no sense for us to be in conflict with each other all the time rather than work together and explore space.
Very well said.
Avi Loeb, thank you.
You were the smartest kid on your block. I know it. Growing up, 100%.
Well, you have a scale named after you. I think you got it made. Thank you so much for joining the program again. We look forward to talking to you. Maybe it'll be that December 19th date or before that. Yeah, we don't want anything happening before the holidays. We appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me. It was a great pleasure.
Oh, my goodness. Perfect. Anyone that sits in a museum or it looks like they're sitting in a museum to do an interview, they're going to blow you out of the water every time.
You know that it's going to be interesting. It's going to be complicated. Well, hopefully our next topic is a little less complicated. Well, actually, maybe not.
Yeah, that was
If your Halloween, that was very interesting. If your Halloween costume reveals something about your relationship, we'll talk about it
Maybe
coming
it's too
up.
revealing. Okay, we'll be right back.
Both ways.
These are the moments.
To Chicago Now. Halloween is just a few days away. You probably already have your outfit picked. I've seen a lot of outfits that are showing a lot of things, and you may want to think twice about that costume this year. Author and relationship expert Dr. Tara is here with us to talk about what that costume really means about your relationship and the status of your relationship. Dr. Tara, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me. I guess I'll go as an alien and my husband can go as a spaceship.
Exactly. Very timely.
It's perfect. What are you going to be this Halloween?
No, we're still figuring it out. I said I had an idea. I kind of revealed it last week. It's a common ghost story that you hear around here. It's Resurrection Mary. It's called Tara. And he would be kind of like the Uber driver that would say like picking up Resurrection Mary because, you know,
that's cute.
That's the name of the story and stuff like that. I don't know. How about you?
Well, I have a costume, but that's only if we're going to a costume party. And it's, you know, it has to be an adult. I'm going to tell you right now, Dr. Tara. It would have to be an adult
nothing wrong with that.
Costume party. But I'm going in tow with my husband. So let me start with this. A lot of these costumes these days, especially for the ladies, are bedwear. I mean, I'm just saying. Some of it literally borders the line of costume play in the bedroom versus wearing it outside. What does that say about your relationship if you are doing that and maybe you're not going with your spouse?
I mean, costumes are basically just a playful form of self-expression. Whether it's solo or as a couple, it can mean something simply as you're trying to express yourself and take some risks on one day in the year that you have an excuse to sort of be fun, silly, or sexy. A different form of expression that you don't normally do on your day-to-day basis. But as a couple, when you plan your costume together, it means that you can be creative and collaborative, and you can take risks and be silly together. And that actually means a lot. Research found that shared playfulness like this isn't just cute. It actually predicts long-term relationship satisfaction.
Dr. Tara, first of all, you are so cute. We were just commenting on that when you're talking. We were listening, by the way. But let's talk about maybe some red flags, because you said that Halloween can kind of reveal some things about your relationship. What are some of those maybe things to look out for that might say a little bit more than what the situation seems?
There is something called emotional generosity. What I see a lot in my clients is like a holiday comes and a partner asks like, hey, let's do this thing together. And the other person barely moves, right? Just like, absolutely not. I'm not participating in that. What that shows is that couple lacks emotional generosity. Because what the other person can say is, hey, this is not my thing at all, but I'll do it for fun. I'll do it for you. And that's what shows a healthy and emotionally close romantic relationship versus just immediately rejecting the idea of doing something fun together, like something silly like a costume. So it does say a lot about the relationship.
So say that does happen. You want to go to a party, maybe you want to hang out all night, maybe you want to dress a little revealing. The other person's like, okay, I'll go, but I don't want to stay out. I just want to go, maybe show my face and leave. What do you do to address that now? So, because it sounds like what you're saying is some of this can snowball into a bigger issue. So what should you do if that situation arises so that you don't have bigger issues moving forward?
Communicating about compromise. A lot of times people will say like compromise is really important in long-term relationship, but even doing the communication, having a conversation about what compromise looks like in a relationship is really important. And when you go to a Halloween party, for example, it might sound like a small thing, but these are called micro moments of connection. And a relationship is simply just multiple micro moments of connection. So if you can't do one thing, it can, be a snowball into you just saying no to your partner for multiple things, and that becomes a pattern of rejection. So having a conversation about what compromise looks like in a relationship is really important. And that can mean, here are the things that I'm going to do because I know it makes you happy.
I love that.
You mentioned something good. Yeah, just having that conversation ahead of time, because I think in a lot of situations, not just Halloween, you have expectations that are set in your head. You think about those expectations, you just don't communicate it to them, and that's where it can kind of get lost in translation. For anyone watching today, why are Halloween costumes so important? You can kind of feel more confident in your own skin, can't you, when you actually put it on? And that's what's, good in a relationship to have. Be confident first, confident forward.
Yeah, Halloween is just the perfect excuse of a day to show off your authentic, fun, creative self. A lot of adults forget that play is really important. Play is the secret sauce to happiness in life and also for relationships, because when couples play together, they stay together. When you have playful moments together, and it doesn't have to just be Halloween, it can also be this holiday season. When you have playful time together, your brains release oxytocin and dopamine and serotonin. All these are feel-good hormones that will, uplift your mood throughout the day, make you happier, and also make you feel closer to your partner. So these are the things that contribute to when stress comes up. These couples that have banked in their playful time and experience these, hormones can handle stress better together and individually. And also, if you're single, use this day as an excuse to express yourself and maybe push it a little bit and be a little bit risky of what you want to wear. Maybe, you've been a hot dog for 30 years, but this year you're going to be something else, right? It's a little bit of boost of self-expression, and it can go a long way.
Yeah, maybe this year you'll be a hot mama. This is one of the seasons that I've enjoyed, especially when I was single. I think now, when you see me with my husband, you'll still know it's me. But when I was single and in this profession, I would wear some crazy costumes because nobody would have a clue that it was me behind the mask. So I would be, yeah, I was out there. So I'm sure there's some pictures of me, but people don't know it's me. Let me ask you this, Dr. Tara, in terms of Halloween, you know, I know me and my husband, we always look forward to being together to pass out the candy. What are some other traditions within Halloween, other things you can do together that really creates that bond and that, you know, level of togetherness?
Yes. So in talking more about building these micro moments of connection, you can try like decorating together. I mean, you can even start with like looking into decorations together and building the vision together. Like, what do we want our house to look like this year? Decorating together, watching scary movies together, walking around the neighborhood together, trying on, you know, a different costume that you've never done together. There are so many of these little micro moments of connection that you can do, and it actually contributes a lot to the feeling of togetherness throughout this holiday season.
You know, Dr. Tara, we said that you are an author too. Can you tell us a little bit about your book? I think we see it behind you there.
Yes, so my book is called How Do You Like It? A Guide for Getting What You Want in Bed. Because a lot of times...
you should have started out with that, Dr. Tara. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, research shows that intimacy issue is one of the biggest issues in long-term relationships. So I wanted to create a book of a solution to such a big universal problem. It doesn't matter how much money you make, what your religion is, who you voted for, what your racial background is, you will experience an intimacy issue at some point in your life. So I just wanted to be a part of such a big universal problem.
Yeah. Final question for you. Why do you think it's such a hard conversation for couples to have when it comes to intimacy? You may be with somebody, you know, 15 years, they've seen everything about you. Why would it be hard to have that conversation that maybe you're not being pleased in the way that you want to be pleased?
Here's the truth of it is people don't want to hurt their partner's feelings, and it's as simple as that. They feel bad bringing things up because they are afraid that whatever they bring up will hurt their partner's feelings. Intimacy is one of the most vulnerable topics you can talk about. It's intimacy and money. And these are topics that people are really afraid to bring up in their relationships. But at the same time, having the knowledge that if you never talk about it, you will be stuck in that mediocre intimacy life forever, should give you enough push to like start talking about what it's like to have a healthy, intimate life together.
I'm so glad you're talking about it. I think I saw what your handle is, Love Bites. Can people find some more stuff about you, your message on social media?
Yes, my Instagram is lovebites.co. That's LUVBITES.co.
I love it. Dr. Tara, thank you so much for joining us. We will have you on again, maybe closer to the holidays.
I love it.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Would love to. Maybe some Christmas intimacy tips.
Yeah, maybe dress up as Santa and she dresses up as, what was it, Mrs. Claus? Yeah, have a little fun in there. All right. Thank you so much. I'm the wild card here. Thank you so much, Dr. Tara.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day. Hey, I'm being honest.
Hey, you are being honest. You know what? Yeah, this is things that are happening at home.
Well, not at my house yet, but I've never thought about that.
It's not Christmas time yet.
Yeah, that's a little weird, too.
Let's talk about trending topics once we come back right after this break.
Fox Local.
Welcome back to Chicago Now. We are going to talk about some trending topics.
Yes.
It's been a while since we've been able to do this, but one, I was just talking with our peanut gallery over here, that it's been showing up on my For You page, and I'm really actually kind of confused on what's behind it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I saw the video too. We're talking about the video of Kim Kardashian. You have Northwest, or is it Kardashian? However you pronounce her name. Kris Jenner. There's a video of them doing like dancing around. And I was confused too when I saw it. I didn't know what was happening. But apparently they're dressed up for Halloween as some influencers that are out there. Do we have the video? The clip actually shows Kim wearing fake tattoos and facial hair to impersonate Guapo, a New York-based TikTok comedian known for silly dancing, prank videos, and other shenanigans. They posted this on TikTok October 24th, and then you see Kris Jenner in there too. You know what really tripped me out about this? Is that a lot of parents were talking about this particular video. It led them to a whole nother conversation about Northwest being 12 years old and, you know, her mom allowing her to wear fake tattoos and stuff, but she doesn't have fake tattoos in this.
No, she doesn't.
So I'm confused on where the conversation started, but it was trending over the weekend. I saw it too, and I didn't know what was happening. I still don't really know what's happening.
I did see some, I did recently see some pictures of Northwest, and it did look like she had some pretty
risque clothing on?
Not risque clothing, but face tattoos, yeah, but also like almost like gothic looking, which is nothing wrong with that if that's how she's wanting to express herself. It's just so different from Kim and some of her sisters that it was a little shocking. Maybe she's, you know, under the influence of some of these TikTokers that I don't really know about, but it seems like that might be somewhat of their style.
I agree. I think too, listen, I don't talk about 12-year-olds and people's kids because I feel like you raise your kids the way you want to. But I do think in that world, in the celebrity world, there's a different rule of thumb that people live by that, you know, I probably wouldn't do it with my kids, but if that's what you want to do with your kids, go for it. I also think in that role, you're probably raising your kids, but not really.
Yeah, there's,
you know, you got a lot of help when it comes to Yeah, so I think if they're getting together as a family and that's the way they want to do it and have fun, who are we to criticize? Like, sometimes I feel like the public should mind their own business sometimes.
And
I really do.
Yeah, she is Kanye's daughter, so she's going to do what she wants.
Yeah, we know that for sure. So, yeah, that's what it is. Okay, we got to talk about this one. The suspects in this brazen Louvre jewelry heist, they were arrested near Paris. What was interesting about this is...
It's like out of a movie.
It's like out of a movie, but I saw online where they were wearing these vests that I guess that they're kind of like wearing, like, I guess in that environment, typically the workers wear, and that's in part, I think how they pulled this off is what I thought. I had it on my phone because I was trying to pull it up.
It looked almost like a construction
uniform.
Vest for me.
That's exactly what it looked like. I was trying to go to it before we went.
While you try to find it, I'll explain it.
Go ahead, please.
If you've lived under a rock and haven't heard about this, multiple suspects have been arrested in connection with the heist of crown jewels from the Louvre Museum in Paris. This arrest now comes a week after the thieves stole millions of dollars worth of historic jewelry. I think it was up to $102 million, if I remember right. Thieves stole 8 pieces of jewelry worn by 19th century French royalty. I know that a big question, and probably unfortunately what they're going to do, is cut up some of the pieces of jewelry so that they can then go ahead and sell it.
That's the picture that I'm talking about right there. This is video. It shows one of the suspected thieves cutting into a display case. This was at the Louvre's Apollo Gallery. That was captured on October 19th of this year. They believe that that is how they were able to even get that close, because apparently they were wearing those vests, so then nobody thought anything was out of the ordinary until it was too late, right? In some cases, they were already there cutting open the jewelry.
Well, and I know that a French newspaper is kind of one of the first, I wish I knew how to pronounce it, one of the first to give some of these reports. So they said the robbers climbed a ladder to a second-story balcony and used tools to break through a window into the Apollo Gallery, where they smashed the glass display cases and snatched the jewels. It only took 7 minutes, people, and they rode away on a motorbike.
So they must have had experience. It sounds like to me, these are experienced robbers.
Yeah.
High-end robbers. They have to be, right, in order to be able to pull this off. So,
and the museum's cameras failed to spot the burglars, and that's not enough cameras monitoring the museum's perimeter.
Maybe they figured out how to intercept some of those and know where the cameras are to dodge them.
It's like a movie script. It's like, what is it? National Treasure? Is that the movie?
I think that's
that went
the movie.
around?
I think that's the right one.
In like the early 2000s. Loved it. Why am I forgetting the name of it? Anyway. Like one of those.
Yeah, one of those. Okay, what we're going to next? What we got? Oh, Hormel recalls 4.9 million pounds of chicken. This is crazy. I have to cough all of a sudden.
And well, go ahead and cough.
I need to go grab my water. Can we go to Gabby on her shot?
Yeah,
slowly?
you know what? Let me actually find this. Why am I not finding the card for this? Of course, but oh, here we go. Recalls 4.9 million pounds of chicken, possibly contaminated with pieces of metal. I don't know if you guys have ever used Hormel, but I know I've used it for some buffalo chicken recipes and also for some just like bean dip recipes too. 5 million pounds of food service ready-to-eat frozen chicken products that may be contaminated with pieces of metal. The metal pieces varied in sizes, measuring roughly 2 millimeters by 17 millimeters. I have no sense of measurement, so maybe that's small, maybe that's big. Because I do want to know, in comparison, what that looks like. So the affected items were sold under Hormel Fire Braise label. I still can't pronounce it. How do you pronounce it, Tia?
Hormel.
What is wrong with me?
You don't want to say bad words on TV. It's too close. I get it.
Nationwide between February 10th and September 19th, so that's really the affected pieces of chicken. But it is interesting. I always find this so unbelievable because we just assume, and as we should, that our food is safe.
So you were asking about the size?
Yes.
So the size is roughly the thickness of a nickel or a toothpick and roughly the width of a standard house key head or small earring post.
Oh, it's big.
So it's about the size of a lipstick tip edge.
And I will say, the issue was discovered after
ChatGPT.
They received multiple complaints, thank you, from food service customers, including hotels, restaurants, and other organizations that serve food to people who reported finding the metal in their frozen chicken breast and thigh products.
So it was big enough for people to detect it in their food.
For sure. Well, if it's that size, then yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
You would see it.
That's crazy.
I'm so glad that you looked that up because
I had to. I had to.
Measurement.
And I meant to do it earlier, and then I just completely forgot. But I'm happy to know that at least it's being recalled. So if you have some in your fridge,
what were the dates
make
again?
sure that. So the dates they were distributed nationwide was between
February 10th.
This is a long
September
time.
19th.
That's a long stretch.
Long amount of time, yeah.
February 10th of 2025 and September 19th, Well, I'm just asking, why would that still be in your fridge or freezer?
I don't know. I feel like that's kind of lasts forever. I am notorious for keeping.
Really?
I am notorious for keeping food in the fridge and freezer for too long and still eating.
I throw that stuff away.
So whenever we have like someone who comes on for food safety, I'm like, oh.
That's why, you know what? That is why I'm one of those people. Well, I can't even say I throw that stuff away because I'm one of those people. I grocery shop literally for just a few days.
Oh,
I don't grocery shop for the week.
Yeah, because that
is how you start waste. And the reason why I say that is because it's always something pops up. Now all of a sudden somebody's invited you to dinner. So your dinner you were going to make on Tuesday you don't make because you're going out to dinner with Jack and Jane.
Yeah.
And so then you're just wasting money. So I try not to do that, especially with the grocery costs being so high. So I never understood back in the day when grandparents and grandmas and stuff and mothers would go to the grocery store. It seemed like we were always at the grocery store, but that's why they didn't want to waste food.
The cart, I mean, the food would be just much higher than the cart sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah, but in my family, we would always go to the grocery store sporadically through the week, and that was why they didn't want to be wasteful.
That makes sense.
And so, yeah, that's what I do now. I literally get my groceries, usually twice a week I go, and or I order and pick up.
I know, that's so easy.
Yeah, because I don't want to be wasteful. So yeah, that's shocking that somebody would have it that long, but maybe, you know, you have a deep freezer. A lot of people are into that. And you
tons of
freeze the
people.
food. Do we have time to go to anything else? I think we're run out of time for all of our trending topics.
Yeah, we have one more person to
yes,
chat
we
with.
do. An amazing person to talk to. And this is going to be a really interesting conversation. We are talking about Thanksgiving pies. Yes, Spinning J, located in a historic storefront. We'll have it coming up right after this break.
So ABC.
All right, welcome back. We have a surprise for you. Take a look at all this. I wish that you could eat it with us. Spinning J is located in a historic storefront at the corner of California and Augusta in Humboldt Park. It began as a pie business operating out of chef-owner Dinah Grossman's Chicago apartment in 2010. Now Spinning J's vintage transports guests to a previous time decorated with vintage materials. I would love to see that too. And I feel like you're totally a fit. Thank you, Dinah, for meeting with us. You also have a 10-year anniversary of a podcast mini-series that has become really popular. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me. The podcast hasn't actually yet come out, but it is in honor of our 10-year anniversary, which just happened.
That is amazing.
What are you going to talk about on this podcast? That's very interesting.
Yeah, so it's being produced by Cody Nelson. He's a really talented producer, and we're kind of giving people a peek into what it takes to keep a small business like ours afloat for a decade and the people who run it. I feel like oftentimes chefs sort of get sensationalized, and there's a lot of celebrity chefs and the drama, and I wanted to put the spotlight on sort of the quieter side of things and the people who show up day after day and keep these places open for us.
I love that. Like it because there's so many hardworking people behind some of our great places. Let's talk about what you offer at your storefront, because we're seeing the pies here. We
They
can't
look
forget
amazing.
These. And I also see something about a soda bar.
Yeah, so we started as a soda fountain and bakery. This was 2010. There were no soda fountains that I could find anywhere in Chicago, still very few. And we really wanted to highlight the history of the soda fountain as a gathering place where people could come that wasn't a bar, so a family-oriented gathering place. So we make all of our own handmade sodas, all the syrups are made from scratch. And then over the years it evolved to be more of a lunch counter, so we do sandwiches, soup, salads, breakfast and lunch. And of course, the pie is what we're known for.
Okay, so I got a lot of questions now. Your staple pies.
Yes.
What is like the number? Give me the top 3 that people come, to enjoy. And then I also want to ask you about, marking 10 years. We've heard a lot of businesses had to go out during COVID. Yeah. What did you do during that time? So that's a 2-parter.
Okay. Should we start with the pie? Let's start with the pie.
Let's start with the pie.
So we brought a couple of the favorites. The key lime hibiscus, which is the one in the front there, the pink pie. That's one of our favorites. And the s'mores pie, and those are 2 that have been on our menu since the start, 2 of our absolute fan favorites. And then this 3rd pie is a cranberry yuzu meringue, and this is the pie that actually won Best Pie in America on Good Morning America a few years ago.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
So I would say these are definitely 3 of our faves, but also we have a rotating menu, so every month the flavors change.
I love that.
So it really depends on what month it is. We've got apple pie right now, which is a classic. For Halloween. For Thanksgiving, we will also have pumpkin and a chocolate bourbon pecan.
I was going to ask you about pumpkin, because pumpkin is always the flavor of choice around this time of year. Pumpkin latte or something, right? So what did you do? How did you stay afloat during COVID? Because again, we saw so many small businesses close their doors.
We were fortunate. We had already been around for about 5 years. And let me know if you need a hand with any of this.
It's all right. No, I've got this covered. Trust me.
Right in the
I've done it many times.
And we had a community that really stood by us during that time. So we switched to a delivery method when our dining room closed. And we started offering dinners for delivery, pizza for delivery, really anything that we could think of that people might want stuck at home like they were, and always pie. And the community just really showed up for us and supported us. And then when we were able to slowly start reopening the dining room, people came back and we started expanding our hours again. And that's how we made it through. It was really our community, and we were able to hang on to our incredible staff too.
Okay, what kind are we trying right now?
This is the s'mores pie, so that's like graham cracker crust.
She did a good job cutting this. Most of the time when I watch people, I'm like,
cutting it.
carving it like a chicken. Stop it. But
You know, like a pro. And some milk chocolate ganache and the house marshmallow, which we toast the top
Dinah,
of.
no wonder you're so successful. I mean, this is delicious.
Thank you.
Who gave you some? I mean, was it like your grandmother or your mother started baking?
Like there's some odes to, maybe your family, to vintage life.
I do not actually come from a long line of bakers, although my grandmother made incredible chocolate chip cookies. A lot of the pie recipes are mine, or they were developed with some of our staff. The key lime hibiscus was inspired by a restaurant I used to work at as a kid in Maine.
We're fighting over this piece. I'm sorry.
You've got the whole pie.
Yes. Go ahead. We want to hear your story.
Yeah, the recipes were mostly mine. I grew up cooking, and I grew up in a community of great cooks and bakers. My sister's a great cook and baker, but really it was trial and error, and just developing things over the years that people liked, and we wanted to keep on the menu. And our staff is super talented, and they've helped to develop new recipes.
You got it right, honey.
So I know
yes,
that
you did.
I'm telling you,
my
this
word.
is really good pie.
Thank you.
So you talked about your mini podcast series, how you're trying to hone in maybe on some of the people who aren't, you know, as showy. Can you explain it a little bit more? Like, what do you plan on
in
actually?
20 seconds.
Oh, I'm sorry. In 20 seconds. I mean, are you wanting to highlight some other people in Humboldt Park?
So, well, one of the things, one of the people that I wanted to highlight and who is highlighted in the podcast is our overnight baker, who's been working with us for almost 10 years.
Wow.
And people are always surprised to find out that we have an overnight baker. He has been with us almost since the start. I hired him 6 months after we opened, and he shows up every single night at 6 p.m., works a 12-hour shift, and he is the guy who really anchors Spinning Jay. So,
well,
yeah.
Thank you to him, but thank you to you too, because that also says a lot about you as a manager.
Yes,
as an
it does
owner,
to work for
right?
10 years.
To have someone be willing to work that hard for 10 years. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we ran out of time. Real quick, where can they find you?
We are at California and Augusta, 1000 North California Avenue, spinningjay.com, and we're on Instagram at spinningjaychicago.
Okay, we're going to enjoy it, and we'll see you tomorrow.
You did your thing, okay?
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
I'm
Live from Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at Noon.
Next at noon, the redistricting battle is hitting close to home. We're going to hear from one Indiana lawmaker as Governor Mike Braun calls for a special session to redraw the state's congressional boundaries.
A high-stakes court hearing why a judge is questioning Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino over his tactics during immigration raids.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Sylvia Perez.
And I'm Natalie Bomke, and we want to give you a live look outside right now. Hopefully you've been able to breathe in some of that fresh, cold air.
Kind of nice. I walked to work this morning. It felt good. I'm thinking, let's take advantage of this while we can, because when is the real stuff coming our way, Caitlin?
The real stuff.
Yes.
I know. We actually are getting lucky this week. It's Halloween on Friday. We've got this beautiful Monday. You can see the waves are crashing out there. Winds could get up to around 15 to 20 miles per hour throughout Chicagoland today. But as far as the skies go, you saw that live shot. It's beautiful. We've got no rain in the forecast today. Instead, it returns tomorrow. In the meantime, look behind me. We have just a few fair weather clouds out there in a few spots. But again, Live look from our Shut Aquarium camera, blue sky as far as you can see. Temperature-wise, feeling very fall-like. It is 53 degrees at the lakefront right now, 56 at Midway and 57 in Gary, 57 in Aurora, almost 60 there at LaSalle. We feel good. We look even better. Our day planner shows just how quiet it will be through the rest of the day. 3 p.m. and 56 degrees by 5:55. That chance for rain is creeping back into the forecast as soon as tomorrow. Temperatures, though, back to the upper 50s. Wednesday, too, 56 degrees expected. Luckily, we will be drying out just in time for Halloween. And then this weekend, there is a chance for rain. I'll show you which day in your full forecast. Ahead, Sylvia.
All right. Thanks for that, Caitlin. Well, the redistricting battle is now heating up.
Governor Mike Braun of Indiana now calling a special session to redraw congressional lines 1 week after saying there weren't enough votes to do so. Right now, Indiana has 9 U.S. House members, 7 Republicans, 2 Democrats. If the new maps are approved, they could largely impact cities like East Chicago and Gary. Indiana State Representative Caroline Jackson joined Good Day Chicago this morning to discuss what this could mean for voters.
Okay, the reason why they're doing it is because they want complete control. Okay, all of this, first of all, we have 9 9 U.S. representatives and 2 senators. We only have 2 Democrat representatives in the state of Indiana. And what they're trying to do is to get rid of those 2 representatives. That would be the 1st district as well as District 7, which is down by Marion County.
So Jackson says Governor Braun does not have the votes she doesn't think to pass any new maps. The special session is scheduled for November 3rd. As Indiana Democrats gear up for their redistricting battle, Virginia Democrats are defending a plan to redraw the state's congressional district there. The Democratic head of the state Senate is planning a special session before the election that could result in new boundaries for district maps. Virginia Democratic Congressman James Walkinshaw says President Trump started this fight by urging Republican states to target Democratic seats.
He knows he's losing the 2026 midterm elections, and Democrats can't unilaterally disarm in that. We've generally, as Democrats, taken the posture that we should have nonpartisan redistricting, but we can't have partisan gerrymandering in red states and nonpartisan maps in blue states.
Virginia voters head to the polls next week to elect a new governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and House of Delegates.
Governor Pritzker has already stated redrawing Illinois districts is on the table. In the meantime, today, the governor filed his nomination papers with the Illinois Board of Elections. The governor also expressed his concern for Illinois residents as the government shutdown continues.
Well, there are nearly 2 million people in Illinois who, as of November 1st, would lose their SNAP benefits. Those are nutritional benefits, food that the Republicans are taking off the table. Because Donald Trump is unwilling to reopen the government, unwilling to sit down with Democrats. I mean, he's in control of the government. He should be willing to talk about it and work on it before those SNAP benefits are taken away.
Many are concerned about food banks running out of food, and there are also some growing concerns over air safety with air traffic controllers not receiving their paychecks. Well, today, Republican gubernatorial candidate Darren Bailey's running mate, Aaron Del Mar, also filed a nomination paper in Bailey's place. Bailey is dealing, of course, with that tragic loss of his son, his daughter-in-law, and his 2 grandchildren. They were killed in a helicopter crash in Montana last Wednesday night.
Normally, you know, this is a big hoopla where we come out and we celebrate all of the signatures and the petitions that we're going to be submitting. Today is a lot more solemn. Unfortunately, Darren can't be here, but I'll be standing in for the campaign. We are incredibly proud that we are submitting over 12,000 signatures that were circulated by 3,000 individual volunteers that went all throughout the state of Illinois to get us on the ballot.
Del Mar says right now the focus is on honoring the Bailey's family. Services for the family members will take place